Hi, my name is Kerry Grossert, and for my presentation, I will be analyzing the film Smoke Signals. I'll be using a discussion of the message of filmmaker Chris Ayers and how he shows his message or sends it to the audience through his story, the characters he uses, and his background of Native American culture in his film. My question to the audience before my presentation is, what are your assumptions about Native American culture, whether you are Native American or not? Um, how might those assumptions or uh, your perceptions change prior to seeing the movie? And I'll also be giving my before and after towards the end of the presentation. I'm starting off. My main point is Native American culture is represented differently. How is this shown in Smoke Signals? I believe first, Native American culture is based on tradition and embracing who they are as indigenous people, people of the land, the foundation of this nation. I think the most important character in the movie is Thomas Builds the Fire, as he represents the traditional storyteller um, of Native American culture. He embodies, um, I guess, the role of many of the elders play in the movie of uh, telling stories of the past and experiences. Uh, and the term I want to use is oral, obviously, is oral tradition that he uses many times to make different points and to show to his peers and to remind them of the history of the Native American culture. He embodies the sense of community that Native Americans have, his loyalty to his grandma, um, setting up parties for his friends, and also wanting to go along with Victor on his travels. Uh, also, his his use of fry bread in his stories and what that means, significance of that, the sense of community, that sense of exclusive, something exclusive to Native American culture that everyone loves and everyone comes together for. As you see in one of the stories with Victor's mom and how she splits the bread in half to feed more than 100 Native American people. As we move to Victor, he is the opposite. He's the warrior mentality um, that is more stoic. He doesn't trust anybody. He's confident. And actually, in a scene when him and Thomas are on the bus, he finally is sick and tired of Thomas's stories, his appearance. So he tells him, are you looking like a medicine man? Don't you know how to be a real Indian? And really, what does a real Indian mean? To Victor, is what I just said. Be stoic. Um, uh, if you're not, people won't respect you if you're not mean. Change your clothes. Let your hair be free. A Native American man is judged by the length of his hair, his appearance, things like that. That Thomas is a little unsure of and weary of upon hearing that from Victor. Yeah. So, what is a real Indian? What's interesting is that Victor basically says some stereotypes that Native Americans have of themselves, as far as, well, you need to be stoic, you need to be the traditional warrior mentality, uh, and those are some of the stereotypes. You don't have to be that to be a Native American, obviously, as many of the characters in this movie show and as Thomas shows. Um, but obviously, what everyone is probably more familiar with is stereotypes that the white man has. Alcoholism, exaggerated stereotypes of imagery from movies of the past, the images of the chief and the powwow and things like that go along with Native American culture that are obviously tradition, but they're not a modern thing for modern Native Americans today. Um, as you see, there's a couple examples of this as they're on the bus. Uh, two stereotypical white males who are country and they say, go. These are our seats now. Go back to your powwow. It's an interesting scene. Obviously, you can see the stereotypes that are shown there. And really, I believe that a real Indian is someone who embodies the modern as well as the traditional. You don't have to be stoic, you don't have to be a warrior, but you need to have a sense of tradition and also who Native American people are today. Moving on, my second point is the role that women play as far as sexuality and roles of gender. Uh, something that something that jumped out at me actually was a connection between the video we just watched on the controversy of stereotypes in Disney and the roles that women play. Um, Towards the end of the movie, Susie Song, who made the call to Victor about Arnold's death, she is, I believe, plays the Pocahontas stereotype, obviously being kind, pretty, naive at times, but I think that she embodies that. She's sexuality that not all Native American women have, but obviously is seen here. Going back to Gail Dines, who talks about this representation of what women should look like in Disney movies, and Pocahontas, and really the only Native American representation that children get to see. Um, I believe that Susie Song shows some of that stereotype. Uh, Moving away from that stereotype, um, really this one isn't, but Victor's mother, I think, plays a huge role of Native American women and shows really the tradition of Native American culture. She's strong, she's built on tradition, uh, and and feeds that to Victor. As Victor grows up with no dad, it's important for her to send that to him and keep sending messages out. He's very hard-headed, but he seems to get some of those only from his mom. Um, Something interesting about her, I believe, is her ability to laugh at herself. Herself meaning as a Native American, her ability to laugh at, at times it gets ugly for Native Americans as far as um, obviously stereotypes, and how outsiders see them, outside of the reds or outside of their culture. Um, her spirit and her ability to laugh is, I believe, her humor is what saves her, um, her well-being and her family's well-being. And third, my third main point is I want to take a look at some of the underlying themes of smoke signals, as I kind of noticed, as a Native American culture, as we see in Sherman Alexi's book. There's a lot of symbolism, a lot of imagery that's underlined that sort of shows a Native ideology. Um, I wanted to focus on Arnold's speech about Victor as a basketball player, and um, for a day the Indians won, and really showing Arnold's passion um, uh, towards his son that he never got to show him, his art of storytelling that he has shows in the scene. Even though it comes to find that Victor actually didn't make the shot, he still has so much passion, as um, and shows the Native American struggle between them and the white man to be seen as human beings and to be seen as a competitor really to the race. That we are, it is equal. We are equal to you. And I think that going along those lines with Victor and his dad, something that's interesting for me was the final scene where Victor finally releases all of his emotions of childhood, really some childhood abuse from Arnold, and also releasing emotions of being a Native American in that last scene. I think it's a poignant scene, and really something to you kind of have to go back and look at to kind of get the imagery and the symbolism of that. Um, Going forward, I want to touch on Sherman Alexi's book. Really, I want to compare that. I think the figurative language you really get a taste of it um, in Sherman's or Alexi's book. Uh, Within the first couple of chapters, you see there's a distinct with the titles. There's you kind of have to look at it closer and read on and see really what does that mean? What does that symbolize? Um, Obviously, that's given to you in the movie, and I also think there's a little bit more tradition in the book, and as far as obviously storytelling and some of the classics Native American stories are embedded in some of those short stories, and I think I enjoyed that. And um, obviously, before seeing the movie, I had an image in my mind of what it was, and I think that was more entertaining and more beneficial than watching the movie actually. And lastly, I want to go over Chris Ayres' message, and really that is, I believe he wanted to give Native Americans a voice, a personality, a behind the scenes look at the face of Native Americans, and um, and really showing audiences that they're quite similar to white Americans and how they live, and there's just certain differences in their culture and what they believe in and how they go about doing that. But I think he just wanted to give Native Americans an opportunity to show their personality and who they are in a movie. And lastly, I want to conclude. Sorry. Um, anyway, I want to conclude with just a couple of things. Obviously,